All right. Hey, happy Friday, or whatever day you watch this. So I wanted to jump in today. I'm not going to do a big, long intro. Obviously, Stacey Rasky, veteran, entrepreneur, speaker, leader. You know the deal. So I want to just hop in really quick because, one, it's Anthony Bourdain Day. And it reminded me of, right, there's so many of these amazing people out there in the world shining brightly. You know, we had Chris Cornell, Anthony Bourdain, Kate Spade, just to name a few, right, who were out there massively shining brightly. And yet they were still deeply struggling with their own internal darkness, right? So I wanted to talk about, hey, Joshua, how's it going? So I wanted to talk about this piece because I think there's a lot of misconceptions as you're going through your personal development journey and expanding, that the more we focus on the positive and the more we stand in our power and lean into the light and shine brightly, that somehow that overshadows our darkness and that goes away. And that's not the case. So I will use myself as an example because I recently got a nice ass kicking from my dark side, creeping up and totally kicking me in the ass. So what happened is, as I'm up leveling, and this applies to you as well, you're doing this deep inner work, right? We're doing all this beautiful expansion in our lives, in our leadership, in our power, purpose, pleasure, prosperity. Like, we're doing all this work to raise our ceiling and expand and grow, right? We're stepping into that light, we're shining brightly. I'm speaking my truth, owning my power, all those things. And things happen fast. I'm in that exponential growth curve portion of scaling who I'm being, scaling the impact in the world, scaling my business, all the things, right? Scaling my relationships. And I have my routines and my self-care on lockdown, for the most part, right? Like, there's always a little ebb and flow, like that's real life. And I thought it was good. However, now I'm in that place of sabotage is very subtle, right? Like, we know when we have our moments where it's really obvious, like really long day, go have a glass of wine, maybe get a little snacky, right? Like, for those of you who are emotional eaters, so does myself. We can have some of those things that are pretty obvious. Maybe we work too long, whatever it is. So that's some of the sneaky stuff that happened to me. Big up level in my business, expanding my team, stepping into this leadership role, being the CEO of my life, of myself, of my business. And sneaky Stacey, sabotage dark side, was actually that I started to put a little extra pressure on myself. So guess what starts to happen? I end up working a little bit longer than I normally do with my schedule, being a little more available to some of those meetings, some of those client calls, some of those networking things, the virtual coffees, whatever, right? Because I just had this big giant event and, did the television show, all that stuff. Well, my self-care and my routine was not keeping up. That was the problem. So the bigger you go in the expansion, in the shining brightly, it's the self-care, it's the self-mastery, it's the self-management that helps you to keep that dark side, which is not a bad thing. Our darkness help to keep that part of ourselves integrated, right? And when it's integrated, it's in check because we're functioning from this beautiful, wise mind, this wise way of being. Hey, Clint, how's it going? So That's key, right? So remember, we're 51% light, 49% dark. Like that would be rejecting a whole ton of our power, our purpose, our truth, all of that, right? Stepping into being the leader that you are called to be means integrating. So that self-care, that self-management, that self-mastery is that place of integration. My self-care didn't keep up. So the light and the dark start to diverge. So at work, it's like on, I'm good. And then the rest of the time I'm starting to burn out a little bit, right? Like the symptoms are starting. So guess what? My asshole side starts to creep out. I start getting a little short, a little snippy, just not being my best, not being consistent, right? Like it's really subtle, all the way to the point where then something big happens. And then there's like that big asshole moment where we put our foot in our mouth, we're not showing up as our best. And then it's like, bam, we just hit against a wall that we thought we eliminated. It's like, oh crap, right? How many times have you been in that space like, I thought I fixed this. I thought I worked on this. Why is this happening again? Now, granted, I didn't step into the space of why this is happening again. I know why it's happening again. My self-care and self-mastery and self-maintenance and self-management was not matching to allow, as I'm expanding the ceiling on the top, but to allow the floor to catch up, right? So we got to move as a whole if we are too split, right? So you got to increase the self-care and keep the light and the dark integrated, because the more you step into your power, that power is all of it. So the dark becomes more powerful too, not just the light of who you are, because all of you is amazing. We're not rejecting anything. We're keeping it all together, but we have to know how to handle ourselves in our full power. And when we're not keeping up with the self-care, the downtime, investing the energy, time, and attention in who am I being? How am I feeling? What do I need? What am I learning here? In that process, then we start to split, and then we become the two sides and things take that nosedive, right? And the reason I bring that up is because I've been multiple times in my life, I've been in that place of being suicidal, right? And that was that huge divergence between the mask of who I was wearing over here, pretending all happy, whatever, super successful, and this really rejected, deep, dark side. But when we're in that place of integration, embodying ourselves as whole, that is when you actually truly shine the brightest and create the most impact in your life, in your leadership, in your legacy. So I just wanted to share that with you today. If you're having those moments where you're like, okay, wait, I thought I was working on this. Now I just hit that wall again. This shit's coming up. What's happening here? All that is a messenger that you need more investment in numero uno so that you can impact and be of service of everyone else better. The dark, the baggage is not a bad thing, but we've got to do the work to keep it integrated. Because again, like I said, the more you step into your power and purpose, it's all of it. So the dark's getting just as big as the light side. So keep that in mind. And of course, if that's something that you're like, okay, Stacey, let's chat. I need support on that. Hit me up in the DMs. We can totally talk about those next steps for you. But I'd love to know from you if anything that I shared today resonated with you, and what self-care will you be adding in to make sure you're loving on and taking care of that dark stuff so that you are integrating and showing up as your best. Oh, all right, Rashid John, thank you so much. All right, everybody, have an amazing weekend. Take that food for thought. Go into your weekend with some epic downtime and self-care, and ask yourself today, hey, all right, who am I being? How am I showing up? What am I feeling? What do I need? And what am I learning from this? All right. Remember, as always, you are enough. And I'll see you next week. Bye.